to the July 2024 Richmond IONS Community Group meeting. We always start these meetings with a little bit of talk about IONS itself. IONS stands for Institute of Noetic Sciences. IONS was created in 1973 by Edgar Mitchell, who was the lunar landing module pilot for Apollo 14. He had a don't know whether he had it then or whether he got it later, but he had a PhD in aeronautical engineering in addition to being a Navy test pilot before he became an Apollo astronaut. And when he went to the moon and walked on the moon, as a couple of handfuls of people did back in the late 60s, early 70s, he had, like several of them, a takeaway experience from that adventure, and his takeaway was a unity consciousness experience as he was on the way back to Earth in the Apollo capsule, and saw the Earth off in space as a pale blue dot, and so forth. And he resolved right then and there to dedicate the rest of his life to exploring the frontiers of consciousness, especially the interface between science and spirit. And he created IONS as a vehicle for that purpose I believe it was in the summer of 1973, with the help of a major donor to get it going. And it's been going ever since. COVID created some challenges for it, but it's still going. And we here in Richmond have been blessed to have had an active community group, which IONS has all over the world, or at least all over the English-speaking portion of the world. We've had an active IONS community group in operation since January of 1996, and we're one of the oldest, if not the oldest, continuously operating community groups in the entire global network of IONS. And I will tell you that there's no other community group on the planet that has the level of programs that we have on a monthly basis and have been having ever since we began. So we've been blessed in many ways, both with community support and with the support of wonderful speakers and so forth. And so we are very grateful and appreciative of all the support we've had, and hope it will continue. We subsist, as most of you know, only on the generosity of our members, and our members are whoever decides to show up for our meetings, either in person or online. We do pass a basket for love offerings during the meetings, and those who are online can go on our website and make a donation through the PayPal function on the website. We ask you to reach into the depths of your wallet and at the point where that intersects with your heart and give accordingly, and so far that has been enough to sustain us, and we hope it will continue. What else? I'm sorry? Okay. We'll have the steering committee stand up. Then we have Bunny. Bunny's not going to stand up, even though it was her idea. And we have Martha. And I feel like there's something else that I'm not mentioning. What? Huh? Well, we don't have those Wednesday programs anymore. They got canceled because Susanna's going off on another mission today. So, I would say too that if those who, if you can't make our meetings, our programs are recorded, and they can be accessed either on our YouTube channel or on Facebook, and the recordings for YouTube go back about 2 years or less, a little bit less, and the ones on Facebook go back 3 or 4 years. And so, if anything you missed or would like to catch up on, you can go on there and access our programs for free. And and so we urge you to do that. And anybody who is not on our list and would like to be, we have a sign-up sheet in the back of the room, right by the door. Put your name and email address on there. Please write legibly, and here on out you will receive our monthly email with our speakers. So now, without further ado, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Martha, and she is going to do the opening meditation and introduce our speaker.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to read from, it's a little out of character, but read from the Bible. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And for those of you who don't know, Corinth in the ancient world was the Wild West. So Paul is having to basically herd cats, and that's what this book is about. And so he's trying to sum it up. And he says, I might speak in the tongues of men or angels, but if I'm without love, I'm just a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. I might be a prophet and have hidden truth and have strong faith enough to move mountains, but if I don't have love, I'm nothing. I might give out everything that I own and give my body to be burnt, but if I don't have love, I am not any better. Love is patient, love is kind, and envies no one. It's never boastful, nor conceited, nor rude, never selfish, not quick to take offense. Love keeps no score of wrongs, does not gloat over other people's mistakes, but delights in truth. There's nothing that love cannot face. There is no limit to its faith, its hope, and its endurance. Love will never come to an end. Prophets, eventually their work will be over. People who speak in tongues, they will stop talking. If you have knowledge, it will vanish away because our knowledge and our prophecy are only partial, and the partial vanishes when wholeness comes. When I was a child, my speech, outlook, and thoughts were all childish, but when I grew up, I had finished with childish things. Now we only see puzzling reflections in a mirror, but then we shall see face to face with God. Now my knowledge is partial, then it will be whole, like God's knowledge of me. In a word, there are three things that last forever: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of them all is love. So what I would ask you to do is take breaths like this for the next 30 seconds. Breathe in and hold for 4, and then breathe out and then hold for 4. So do that with me. And then in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold. More time in, hold, out, hold. And by the very act of breathing, you down-regulate your hypothalamus pituitary adrenal complex, and you center and calm, and you go from being in fight or flight to being centered and calm. And so in that centered and calm space, what I would like for you to do is imagine for a moment in your mind's eye the most abhorrent evil that you can. Whatever that is, whatever comes to mind, and there's so much to choose from, but just pick one and think about that. And then what I want you to do is breathe in and then project the love from your heart chakra around whatever that evil is. And just surround it with energy and drown it with love. Until you can visualize it being transformed. And the words come to mind from Revelation, and behold, I saw before me a new heaven and a new earth, and the former things had passed away and were no more. Thank you. I would like to introduce to you my friend, Carey Phillips, who I've known for a really long time. We started practice together at Margaret Norman's years ago. I don't even remember when. And Carey was building her business, and so she offered all of us therapists a free massage, and then in the hopes that if we had a good experience that we would refer people to her, which was really smart. And she kept asking me, hey, you're going to get your massage, you're going to get your massage. And I kept putting her off because I had this is a little personal, but it's germane to her talk today. I had this perimenopausal hemorrhagic flow, and I needed to have 2 iron infusions. It was so bad. And I was afraid I was going to mess your table up. So I just kept saying, I'm not going to do it. And then finally I just was too embarrassing to keep putting her off. So I was like, okay. So I, bit the bullet and came in. And so she gave me a great massage. And then she does something which she'll explain, I'm sure, called cranial sacral healing and balancing. And her hands were moving over my root chakra, which I didn't even know what a chakra was, And she's like, oh, your root chakra is rotating backwards. Let me fix that. And I'm like, knock yourself out. And so she does, and I'm just like, this is cool. And I felt really kind of calm and centered. And this is back when Zoe was like 5 and off the chain. So I was usually in fight or flight most of the time. And so I went home, and the next morning I woke up, and there was no longer this hemorrhagic flow, which I can't describe to you, being anemic for the better part of a year and just having my life so disrupted. And I came into work and I was like, Carey, you're not going to believe this. And she's like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, no, this is like life changing, that, what you've done. It's amazing. And since then, she's worked on me before. She came to the hospital both times. I had hip replacements, and even the physical therapist, who doesn't believe in hippie woo-woo stuff, noticed a difference between me and the other people who had surgery that week. So I think energy medicine is amazing, and I think Carey is amazing. I think you're really going to enjoy her presentation, and I hope I didn't self-disclose too much, but you'll see why it's so powerful. So thank you.
Good morning. I am going to try not to scream into the microphone. Martha, thank you for that. There are so many stories that I have had over the course of my practice in the last, trying to do the numbers, 13 years that I've been practicing. And as I was preparing to come in today, one of the things that I realized is every single person in this room has come in here with a story. We all have our stories of healing, of pain, of despair, of triumph. And what I would like to do today is I'm going to share with you a little bit of my story, where my healing journey started, and also a little bit later, we're going to go through some movement, and I'll explain to you what those things are. It's going to be very simple. It can be done from a seated position, or if you feel like, moving around the room, we can do that as well. For me, if you had asked me as a child what I wanted to be when I grow up, my answer was a secretary. And it's one of the most bizarre things that you can think of, because who wants to be a secretary? But what I came to understand as I got older is it wasn't that I wanted to be a secretary. That was my context. My father was an executive in a company, and I would help him from time to time in his work. And I loved being able to help him and support him, go into his crazy mess of an office and make it organized. And when I got into corporate work, it was so satisfying to be able to go in and help somebody. And for me, what I realized is my desire to be a secretary was because I desired to help people, and I desired to help people get organized. And that is where my path has led me and I'm looking at my notes because I've kind of been inspired by some conversations I had this morning, so I'm a little off my notes, but that's okay. What I like to do is specialize in working with people who are stuck with issues, whether they're stuck in physical issues in their bodies, whether they're stuck in emotional issues that they're looking for support with. And I began that in massage and then as an energy therapist. And now I do work as a life coach, where I work with people individually. And what Martha described in her story is a really great description of people come to something, and massage is a great way for people to come to a support because we're hurting and we want to have something. And when you rub muscles, it feels better. But what I realized is as I was working with people, there is energy in the muscle. And when we have pain in our body, oftentimes that pain in our body is an indication of something that's happening in our lives. There's literally a reason why we say someone's a pain in our neck. And that energy, that stress that we feel from the pain we feel in our body because of a stress point in our emotions is something that we can deal with. And, I stay in business because people come in weekly because they want to get that worked out of the muscles. But what if there was a way that you didn't have to rely on a weekly massage to feel better? What if you had tools that you could just use at your fingertips to help yourself feel better from one day to the next? And so that is where my work comes in. During our time together, I'm going to talk about a few things, understanding the flow of energy in our bodies. And this will be rather high level, but it'll be a good sample of several different things. How to clear some stuck energy pathways so that you feel stronger, get rid of a headache, and move energy so that you feel less, you have less pain or less aggravation. And then also helping you feel grounded. Grounding is one of the most important things that we can do in our bodies to move energy and to increase our emotional state as well. So a little bit about my story. I had health-related issues from about 6 years old. And the very first real memory I have of a serious health issue is I'm 6 years old and my hair is falling out in clumps the size of a quarter. And of course, it's frightening to me because I'm 6 and I'm feeling these bald spots on my head. My mom's like, what's going on? And we go to the doctor and there's nothing clinically wrong with me. My lab work comes up fine. And they say, well, it's probably stress. Deal with your stress. Now, this is back in the 1970s. What do we do to deal with our stress? There wasn't a whole lot of options, especially to me as a 6-year-old. Throughout the next 30 years, I had kind of a rotating, traveling series of illnesses that came up from skin conditions. I had pre-ulcer conditions when I was in my teen, irritable bowel syndrome. I had suicidal ideation and anxiety, severe panic attacks. There were a couple of years in my 20s that I was practically agoraphobic, where I did not go to the grocery store. And if I went somewhere, emotional, I had to be, I needed to be with somebody. And even going to church, I'd sit in the car and I could not go in because while it was a loving and wonderful place to be, there was so much going on with my energy that I could not, I couldn't manage. Sorry. So when I go to the doctors would say, your labs look good. It's probably stress. Deal with your stress. That's a big question. How do you do that? When my first child was born, I ended up having a prolonged bout of postpartum depression. And with that, I remember I was driving in the car to take her to daycare. And I was thinking, how could I drive my car off the road and make it look like an accident? And I didn't. I got to daycare, dropped her at daycare, and I got to work, and I called the employee assistance program, and I said, I need help. And so that began a pattern of me having, I was 12 years in counseling, and yet I was still having issues, and my anxiety was still troublesome. At 32, I had an event at work that I ended up going to the emergency room, and I had stroke symptoms. My husband got to the hospital, and he said, Carey, he didn't tell me this then because I was kind of out of it, but later we were kind of unpacking what I had experienced. And he said he thought we had a new life together, that was going to be, we had a 13-month-old child, and he was going to have to deal with a wife that was altered. Good news is I recovered completely. It wasn't lasting. It was more of a transient ischemic attack is what it ended up being. But having blood pressure of 200 over 160 really put a lot of physiology and a lot of symptoms that fortunately I got to move past. When I was 37, I gave birth to my second child and had, again, a bout of symptoms that they thought I had a tumor on my adrenal gland. I did not. All the tests came back clear, but I'm having symptoms. So you kind of see there's a pattern here. Lots of Western medicine saying you're fine, but I still had a challenge. When I got home after a week in the hospital post-delivery, every single night I had my phone and I was about ready to dial 911. I thought I was dying. My anxiety was the worst it had been in my life. And I had tried all of these different things. I had been in counseling for 12 years or longer at that point, and it was still just it was a lot to be dealing with. And I finally decided that I was going to go to this ad came up in Natural Awakenings for a holistic health expo. And I'm thinking, okay, Western medicine, the solution was be on medication 3 times a day and basically kind of stay in just this medicated haze. I have a newborn, I have a 7-year-old, and I don't want to live like that. I want to be vibrant in what I'm doing. And I don't want to just cope. So I found this holistic health expo with Natural Awakenings, and I went. And mind you, I'm still in the throes of anxiety. I'm still a person who, when I go out and I'm alone in public, I am breaking down. But I felt so drawn. Have any of you had that experience where you were feeling challenged, but you were so drawn to something you were going to overcome that challenge because it was speaking to you? So my 3-month-old in tow, I am pushing a stroller around this holistic health expo, and I'm talking to different practitioners, and there are dozens and dozens of different things that you can do naturally for your health. Most of us know, we've heard of acupuncture or Reiki or Jinshindo or Tai Chi. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I'm talking to each one of these practitioners at this expo, and I'm telling them my story. And one of the things that was most significant for me at that time was every day from about 10:30 at night to 1 in the morning, I would have this panic come up. My heart, my blood pressure was going up, and it would last until about 1 in the morning. And then it would subside and I'd be able to go to sleep. But every single night I thought I was dying, and it was right in this window of time. And I was talking to people at the expo about that particular symptom because it was really significant. And when I told my doctors about it, they said, "Oh, that's interesting. take the pill before that happens so that you can arrest it. Or here's some Xanax that you can take, and take more if you need it. And I'm thinking, okay, but I want to know why it's happening. There's this pattern. And I don't know about, probably some of you in the room have had that, where you have this thing that happens at the same time every day, or at the same time every month, or even annually. There might be this, you go into this illness annually, and you scratch your head because you don't, it's interesting. There's a pattern, but where did it come from? So I talked to this one woman. She's a faculty member with Eden Energy Medicine. Has anyone here heard about Eden Energy Medicine? Are you familiar with it a little bit? Okay. So I'm telling her my story, and she goes, "Oh, that's interesting." And she says, "May I touch your gallbladder and your fourth toe?" And I'm thinking, well, that's a new one. Okay, stranger, but sure. And I said, "Well, I don't have a gallbladder." And she's like, "Well, that explains a lot." And I said, "Okay, so do tell." And she said, the period of time at night that I was having my problem was a time when heart energy is at its weakest in the acupuncture 24-hour clock. And because gallbladder energy is at its peak between 11 and 1 in the morning, 11 at night, 1 in the morning, that energy stresses the heart. And so I'm having heart-related symptoms because of my gallbladder being over-energized. And I basically blew up my gallbladder because I had too much gallbladder energy, over energy there. Now, gallbladder in the traditional Chinese medicine, in the 5 elements model, is associated with anger and judgment. And I lived in a very chaotic environment in my childhood. And that totally made sense. I'm also a recovering perfectionist. And I am a person who is very hard on myself. And, if you're going to do it well. And if you don't do it well, you suck. And so, learning that about myself was very helpful, because it began a path of learning how to be kinder to myself emotionally. With the conversation I had with Julie at the expo, she starts telling me things, and I'm like, she's speaking English, but I'm understanding about 20% of the words that are coming out of her mouth. It was such a new concept for me, and yet it resonated. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I can say this now, that's why I was there, so that I could talk to her and I could learn something from her. So she hands me this handout. It's a daily energy routine for Donna Eden, from Donna Eden. And she says to me, "Before our first appointment, I want you to do these exercises, and we're going to energy test you to see how your body holds these exercises." And I was like, okay, I'm, in a little bit of a haze because my emotional energy is pretty high. So I take this home, put it on my bedside, and like so many of us, it's one more thing to do, I ignore it. It's just there on my bedside. So I have an appointment to go see her, and she says, "Do this 24 hours before your appointment with me." I go into this panic attack the day before my appointment with her. It's 10:30 at night. Energy's coming up. My heart rate is coming up. My blood pressure is coming up. And I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to be going through something again. And I remember I have this piece of paper. I'm supposed to do this homework. So I grab it and I start doing the exercises. I start doing the exercises. And there's one exercise that's really, really hard for me to do. I'm reading it on the page, but my arms, where am I supposed to be? So I did the best I could. As soon as I lay down, my legs were humming. I swear if there was sound that could have been heard, it would have been a beautiful tone, like from this singing bowl. It was like, and I felt heavy, and I fell asleep. And I didn't have to reach for medication. It was so amazing. And I'm thinking, okay. So I go to my appointment with her, and it's like, this is great. Look what happened. This is what happened. And she laughs, and she's like, yes, kind of like what I did with you. right? Of course, that's how that works. So within a couple weeks of my appointments with her, I get laid off from work. And I'm thinking, how am I going to afford to pay for sessions so I can do this healing thing? And within a couple weeks after that, the path just opened up for me to go into this as a work, where I could actually start helping people. So tie it back to my life goal was to help people. And so I went into massage, and one of the reasons I went into massage was because it was 2008. I'm doing energy medicine, or I wanted to do energy medicine. And the question is, how am I going to find clients? You know, talking about this woo-woo energy stuff. How am I going to do that? And so I decided, I was talking over with my husband, and we felt that if I did massage, I could then introduce people like I did with Martha, just, you know, offer some additional support with this energy stuff and make it normal. What I realized when I chose to work with Eden Energy Medicine, it was because the way Donna Eden has put the work together, she has done it in such a way that it's accessible regardless of a person's faith or belief system. There are tools within it that actually, they're not just faith-based. You don't have to believe it for it to work. You do it and it works. One of the things that people have asked Donna Eden is, do you have to believe in it for it to work? And the answer to that is no. You just have to be curious. You just have to be open to the idea or the possibility that maybe something will change as you do this. So I was talking with Martha about this before when we came in this morning, that there's a lot of different paths, and finding a path that works for you as an individual is powerful. And having a path that can connect that kind of woo-woo etheric. There are people that stay away from energy work because they think it's too fringy. But having something that has the ability to bridge that with the Western and support you when you are when you don't always believe it, but it helps with the moving the energy pathways. So that has been my goal over the last 10 years, 11 years, is to help people connect with their energy, move those energy pathways so that they can become more connected, more grounded, and be able to live more vibrantly. So the point of the conversation today is to talk a little bit about the principles of energy medicine, and then to lead you through a few stretches and exercises that are part of the core daily energy routine that Donna Eden found to be an effective way to organize all of our energy so that we can move comfortably throughout any day. So the principles of energy medicine are we have energy in our body, both electric and dynamic, more subtle energies, that we have to have a flow in that energy for us to have health. And when we are in a state of ill health, we can use the symptoms to help us identify where those energies are blocked, and then we can do exercises or protocols, often with acupuncture, not needles, but just with acupressure, to be able to move that energy and unblock things. We say that in traditional Chinese medicine, it's said that when energy is blocked, we have pain or dysfunction. And blockages can come from emotional as well as physical. And so often our physical issues come from an emotional source, where we experience a stress and then we end up with pain. We experience a stress, we have a stomach ache. So managing our stress, going back to my lifelong goal, managing stress is so powerful in fixing so many things. Energy needs space to move. It moves in specific patterns, and we need to maintain a healthy rhythm and pattern for our energy to support us in our health. There are 9 primary energy systems, and triple warmer is one of the, how many people here have heard of the triple warmer? Excellent. Good, good, good. So the triple warmer is, it's a meridian. It's also a radiant circuit in our energy, our primary energies. And it is the keeper of habits. It's the body's militia. It is responsible for the fight or flight response. So whenever we are experiencing something that is uncomfortable, we will often have our heart rate go up, we get a little sweaty, or we might even feel agitated or angry or combative. Triple warmer is there to alert us and bring us back into a state of homeostasis. Sometimes our homeostasis is not what it should be. So if we are a person who experience, let's say we're a person who is, I'm trying to think of, like our go-to is we to have a certain weight. We've gotten to a place in our lives that we have this weight and we want to lose weight or we want to exercise. What happens is we try to exercise and we feel this resistance. We feel like, oh, it's just so hard to do this. And it's because we're changing a habit. And triple warmer is saying, well, the habits kept you alive so far, so why are you trying to change this? It is indiscriminate of what the quality of our life is. It's just stay alive. So when we have been in a chronic state of stress, even de-stressing can feel very uncomfortable because we're not used to being in a state of ease. So we literally will sabotage ourselves and go find something to be stressed about. So that's one of the things that I discovered with myself, and especially when you are in a state of like you have to have everything just so perfect. You drive yourself crazy being perfect or trying to be perfect when perfection is an illusion. But trying to do that put me in a state of stress. Being in stress meant I was comfortable even though I wasn't comfortable. I'm dying, but I can't change. And so making friends with triple warmer is one of the most valuable parts of the work that I do, because it opens the way for all the other things to flow when we can calm that triple warmer. So my wish for you all today is, as we move into some of these movements, to feel a little bit of something, whatever that is. If you notice a shift or a change, I'm hoping that one or two of these powerful concepts will help you, and it'll be a little takeaway for something that you can do to help yourself on a daily basis. I'm going to invite you in just a minute here to move into some gentle movement with me. I will say do whatever amount of movement you can that is comfortable for you. If you cannot do some of the movement, and we're not twisting into pretzels, this isn't yoga. So, but if you have any limited mobility, like in your shoulders or your hips, imagine your body moving through the fullness of that. If it was something you could have done before, put yourself back at that, 20-year-old self that could do that kind of movement, and just breathe into it. There is a research has shown that just imagining that you're doing something fires the same sections of the brain as if you are doing it physically. So let's capitalize on that today. I will tell you some of these exercises, I can't do them because I'm in public, and I feel a little weird doing it. So I'll just do it within my mind. And because I do energy testing with applied kinesiology, I've tested myself before and after, and have found that my energy shifts even though I didn't actually do the fullness of the movement, which is so powerful. And then of course I feel differently. So I know my energy shifted even if I didn't energy test it. So the daily energy routine, and that's this handout that I have here. It is 8 core exercises that help with invigorating the body, and we're going to go through each of them, and I'll share the benefit of each as we do it. So the first one is the 3 thumps. As we move through our lives, our energy should be moving forward with us. There is a flow with our energy, and specifically with the acupuncture meridians. But what happens is when we are stressed, our energy will start to move backward. Have you ever felt like really tired and you think, I'm going to go for a walk and I'll feel better when I go for a walk. But after the walk, you feel more tired? I don't know if any of you have ever had that experience where you're just like, and now I'm going to take a nap. That is a good indication that your energies were moving backward. So as you were walking and moving forward in your life, you literally were you could say, swimming upstream. So I'm going to ask you, I'll share with you some points here. K27, how many people know what K27 is? I'm looking, I know a couple of you do. It's the final point on the kidney meridian. And the way that you get to it is you go to the notch at your the soft point of your neck, and you're going to come out an inch and down an inch. And you're going to fall, and if you do like flat pads of your fingers, you're going to fall where you can feel just a little divot right there below the collarbone. Tap that. And you can do that with your one finger or just the whole pads of your fingertips here. As we do this, this is the first of the 3 thumps. And this exercise helps to restore our energy, increase our strength and vitality, and also helps to strengthen our immune system. And if anyone feels like you want to yawn, feel free. I probably have one of the only speaking parts in the world where when people yawn, it feels lovely because it's an indication that energy is moving through your system. The next thump that we're going to go to is right at the thymus. So it's high on the chest, on the breastbone, and thump there. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth is a great way to balance the yin and the yang. And as we thump here, we are increasing, we're stimulating the thymus gland and helping to boost the immune system. Okay. And then the next points, there are 2 different options for the next point. We're going to tap the spleen meridian. And the spleen meridian, it comes under the arm and then kind of down the side of the body. Make sure I can be seen in the, yeah. So if you tap, you can tap on the corners just underneath the ribs right here. Or you can tap on the side of the arm. So the side of the body, if you come down 4 like finger widths underneath the arm, ladies, if you're wearing a bra, it'll be just inside the hole of the arm. When my kids were little, I called this the chicken taps. So we had our monkey taps and we had our chicken taps. If you, as you're in any of these points, does anyone feel a little tender? Okay. When you have tenderness in your, in any point that is an acupoint, that tenderness is an indication that there's some congestion. The spleen meridian is interesting because it is helpful for our metabolism. So metabolizing things that are in our experiences. It's not directly related to the metabolism that you would talk about like from Western medicine, but energetically it helps us metabolize our food and our experiences and our thoughts. So the spleen meridian is also the yin counterpart to triple warmer. So triple warmer is all about keeping us safe, and the yin meridian of spleen is about our nurturing ourselves. And in the Chinese model, triple warmer can take energy from any meridian when it needs support or when it's trying to keep us alive. It can steal energy from any meridian except the heart. But spleen is the first meridian to say, here, take my energy. And when you think about the balance of yin and yang, so often it is the female energy that sacrifices, that gives, that is wanting to be the support system, and that's natural in our society as well. That we look to, we frequently more often look to females to be that nurturing individual. So that's, the spleen is, when we support spleen, we're supporting our earth energy to be able to be more supportive and have more energy to give more when we're working with spleen. And then the next thumps, what we're going to do, look straight ahead, and in line with the pupil, you're going to come onto the bone just underneath your eyes and tap. On the bone, you're going to do that gently. This is the stomach meridian, which is in the earth element with spleen. It is energy that is associated with grounding. All right, and then just pause. After doing those 4 different thumps, I want you to tune into your body. Do you feel any shift or change? Anything different? What was that? Heat. I love it. Okay. And I'm seeing yawning, so that's great. Okay. Flow down both sides of your body with the support with the meridians. Excellent. So the next one we're going to do is called the cross crawl. So this is the second exercise. The cross crawl, our bodies are designed to have a cross pattern. The right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. And then that's at a macro level. And then on a micro level, we've got the double helix of the DNA. And throughout our bodies, we have figure eights all over the place. We need to have our energies crossing. So with the cross crawl, there's a more athletic exercise. I'm not going to do that today because we're going to do what I like to call the life hack for this one. And you're just going to reach over your opposite shoulder and pull down and across and off the opposite hip. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So we're drawing big X's on our bodies. And we'll do that one more time. When we get into this cross crawl and we have this cross patterning, it helps to harmonize our energy, bringing balance to our bodies. It improves our coordination, and it helps to clear our thinking. I remember there was years ago when I had babies in diaper bags and bottles. I had this one morning that I'm trying to get out of the house, and I dropped my keys, I dropped the bottle, didn't drop the baby, but I just felt so disorganized, and it hit me, my energy is probably not crossing well. And so I just did a couple of these pulls to get my energy moving again, and it corrected. I didn't have a whole day of dropsies. It was just that moment, and then I got it corrected. There's also, Donna Eden has observed that when she's been working with people, when they're in a homolateral pattern, which is energy running up and down the sides of the body and not crossing, she observed a 50% capacity for healing. So when we get our energies crossing well, if we are in any kind of immune dysfunction, this is an exercise. If you take nothing else from today, remember this. This is an exercise that will help you in so many things, and especially with helping your immune system. It is also, when our energies are homolateral, we are more likely to be in a depressive state. And being a person who is very familiar with depression, it's so funny because being in a depressed state, I don't even feel like doing this because I'm just such low energy and I just want to crawl in a hole. But what I know is it's the thing I need to do. And often the thing that you need to do is the thing that's the hardest to do. And that's because you've got, there's those patterns and habits. So breaking that getting into a habit of doing this every single day, I like to think of things that you can do in your life. You put a seatbelt on, you've already done half of it. So then just do the other half when you get in the car. So there's a way to boost your energy right there as you're getting into the car. The next exercise is the Wayne Cook posture. And this helps to focus the mind. It helps to untangle chaos. I'm curious about this one because when a person is presenting and there are people who are having a hard time focusing on what the presenter is saying, it's very likely that this energy is a little scrambly, either for the presenter or for the audience. So we'll do this one, and you can let me know later if you noticed a difference between before and after we did this one. since we're seated, I'm going to do a modified version of this. So we're going to, what we're going to do, I'm going to move this out of the way. Take your right ankle and cross it over your left ankle. And then put your hands out in front of you and take your right hand and cross it over your left. And then if possible, if you can touch your hands or bring your, intertwine your fingers, come in like this. Excellent. Good. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths here. Okay, and then unwind, unhook your ankles, and we're going to cross the left ankle over the right. And then the left arm over the right, and come back in. And then unwind. This is a modified version of the Wayne Cook posture that's in the daily energy routine. I find it a little more accessible in certain settings. So the next thing we're going to do to finish up the Wayne Cook is staple your thumb and fingers together, and you're going to put your thumb right at your third eye. And breathe in. And again, it's 3 breaths. On the out breath, bring your fingertips to your forehead. So we're all right here at our foreheads. And then draw this energy off the sides of your temples and down and around your ears. And then just off your shoulders. How does that feel? Again, more yawning. I love it. We're going to go right into a crown pull now. And this is nice in the flow with the daily energy routine. So let's come back up to our foreheads. And we're going to pull off the forehead, down and around the ears. And then we're going to come back up just a little bit. We're going to, like cracking an egg on the forehead, and then opening and flicking that energy off. Don't flick it on anybody, though. And we're going to continue to come around and down the back sides of your head. And just let your fingers hang off of your shoulders. This exercise started to support or save me from chronic headaches. I lived in a state of headache pain for about 5 years. I had a regular regimen of how I was going to take Tylenol or ibuprofen and alternating it so I wasn't killing my organs all at once. And I had this headache that just constantly was there. When I learned the crown pull, I could do a crown pull when I started feeling a headache, and it would arrest the headache. I would get these things I called flash headaches, where I didn't have a headache and then all of a sudden I had one, and it was just like, lightning. And I would do a crown pull, and within a few minutes the headache would be released. And I would be several minutes or hours in the day later, and I'm like, oh, I never got that headache. It was so liberating. So this is a good exercise to do if you spend time at a computer, if you've been reading, if you're in a state of studying, and you just feel like my brain hurts. Do a crown pull. It's such a supportive resource. So one of my favorite exercises is connecting heaven and earth. If you want, you can stand up for this one, and you can do it in the chairs or right where you are. It is very much like Tai Chi. So if any of you've done Tai Chi or Qigong, you'll notice this one. So you're going to take your hands and rub them together. And we build up some energy here, and then just shake it off. And rub your hands together again. And this time, bring your hands right up to the sides of your head. And you know what? I'm going right into the Celtic weave. So we're going to do this first. So breathe in and bring your elbows together. Breathe out, and you're going to cross your arms and your arms are going to come out to your sides. Now breathe in, and then cross your arms over your knees. Breathe out. Breathe in and bring your arms to the side. Bring your arms to the sides of your ankles, and then slowly roll up and bring some figure eights in front of your body as you're rolling up. And you can just let that nice little figure eight spirit flows all the way around your body. So this exercise is actually supports the aura. And we're going to stay standing because I'm going to show you what I meant to do in the first place, the Celtic weave. But the Celtic weave is for supporting your aura. So when you, if you've ever walked into a room and you just feel like slammed by somebody else's energy, or somebody walks into a room and you feel slammed just by their energy, or if you feel like you're restricted and you're kind of into yourself and you want to push out your aura, doing the Celtic weave is a great thing to do. It helps to repair the aura. It helps to get you into a better space as you're moving around and interacting with other people. And then connecting heaven and earth, this exercise it helps energy flow through the joints, and it is also very supportive for grounding. So with this one, bring your hands to your sides, turn your palms out, and we're going to come straight up and then down to your heart center, this Anjali Mudra. And then press one hand toward the ceiling and the other hand toward the floor, looking up, breathing in, and then as you breathe out, bring your hands back together to the heart center. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. Press up toward the ceiling, down toward the floor, looking up, and on an out breath, come back to heart center. One more time on each side. Breathe in, hands pressing to the heavens, to the earth. Breathing out, back to heart center, and one more time on the other side. And now, as we come back to heart center, we're going to forward fold. So all the way to the floor if you can. Legs can be straight or bent. And we're going to hang there for just a moment. And I'm saying this into the mic and then we'll do it. We're going to hang there for just a moment, and then we're going to do a figure eight as we come back up. So go ahead and forward fold. And then bend your knees as you come up so you can support your back, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. I like doing this as a big elephant. Picture having an elephant trunk and then getting into a nice, making your hands wider and wider, like you've got that ball in front of you. And then bring your hands back to your hips, your lower dantian, and just feel that energy grounding into your bodies. How's that feeling? Good. Okay. And then the next exercise, while we're standing, we can do this one too. This is, we're going to do a hookup. And it's energetically, we're going to take our middle fingers. This is the only time I tell my daughters they can use their middle fingers. Take your middle fingers, and you're going to put one on your belly button. We're not digging, we're just placing right there on the belly button. And then the other one right at the third eye. And with about the weight of a nickel, just a gentle press in and up. This helps to connect the central and the governing meridians. It helps to bring flow, grounding, pushing out the aura, organizing our thoughts. And then just bring your hands back to your side. This is a great exercise to feel calm. If you're feeling a little bit chaotic, this is a great one. Also, connecting the governing and central meridians. If you can't do this exercise by actually touching, because I don't know, people might think that looks weird on the bus or something, you can take your tongue and press it to the roof of your mouth When you press your tongue to the roof of your mouth, you're connecting the central meridian, which comes over the tongue, and the governing meridian, which is over the hard palate. So if you're feeling like you need a little bit of grounding and support with your aura and to feel a little calmer, just press your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Now, massage therapists in me will also tell you that when you press the tongue to the roof of your mouth, you cannot clench your jaw. So if you're a person who, yeah, you're going to try it, right? We cannot, they're opposing muscles. So if we're biting our jaw, we're not pressing our tongue to the roof of our mouth. And also when we press our tongue to the roof of our mouth, it causes our jaw to be more relaxed. So if anybody has a problem with grinding or clenching, there's a little life hack for you. The zip up is the last in the daily energy routine. And the zip up, it's just starting here at the pubic bone, and we're going to move straight up the front of the body, out over the head, and around to our sides. We do that 2 more times. And 1 more. So fun story, and y'all are welcome to sit down now if you'd like. I had the zip up was one of these little exercises that helped me before I got laid off and after I started learning energy medicine. I had the daily energy routine and I had all these little juicy tools in my pocket. And there was a woman that I worked with that she had something that she was just not pleased with me for some reason. And whenever I had to go and speak with her, I always felt really like small and challenged and aggravated. So what I started doing is as I would walk to her office, I would do a zip up as I was walking down the hallway to the office, and I would show up in a much better way because I was not, I was energetically more stable. And this is the thing, and one of the things that I had learned, like growing up, we didn't really learn a lot about how do you manage your energy. I really wish that we would teach this to our children. We would have so many people doing the daily energy routine would be less likely to be aggressive. Because once our energy is balanced and we have a flow, we don't have these pockets of energy that are stuck in us that are just going to pop out somewhere at the most inopportune times. If our brains are more balanced, if we have more calm in our brains, we can actually think about things instead of explode about things. And that's why these simple 8 exercises are so supportive for just our general energy. I want to take a quick check. We've done these 8 different exercises. How many people feel a little bit different? A little different, like noticing a shift. Okay, great. Does anyone want to share what they're feeling? Head feels clearer? Okay. Centered, relaxed. Okay. Your sinuses just cleared? I love it. Anyone else? Sleepy. Okay. So when we do an exercise and we feel a little sleepy, is it sleepy restful or is it sleepy exhausted? Okay, you were dashing this morning. Gotcha. Okay. So when we have a shift in our energy, I remember the first time I felt really grounded, and I didn't realize that throughout my life, I had lived in a state of being ungrounded probably my entire life, which was probably one of the reasons I had all the health issues that I did. And when you think about grounding is when we have a building or a structure that's grounded, we have a grounding rod or something that will take that lightning energy and get it to the earth so it doesn't blow up stuff in the building, which is really nice if you want to protect your electronics. When you think about us as bodies, we are electric. And when we do not have a good grounding, when we are not well grounded, we are going to find ourselves blowing up. We are going to have fritzy little things that happen, headaches and pain that comes and goes. When we ground, we are going to be able to take whatever comes to us and get it to the earth. When we start feeling more grounded, we will also start to feel sleepy because we've been in such a state of like aggravation. And even if we're not aggravated emotionally, our energy can be aggravated. And so when we ground ourselves, so doing a hookup, doing the connecting heaven and earth, those are tools that help with grounding. Also, walking barefoot on grass is a great way to help with our grounding. I actually have a magnetic necklace that I wear today. It's around my ankle, so I can include it in my in my being. I also have it on my left ankle to help with drawing energy because energy is drawn to our left side. So if you talk about energy, energy comes into our left and pushes out to our right. So our yin energy is the left side and yang is the right side. And that gets into a whole, martial arts thing. If anyone, we're so inclined to explore that. So we talked a little bit about triple warmer and how we can calm our triple warmer. So if we're in a state of aggravation, now that I've got you all kind of clear, I'd like to invite you to call to mind something stressful. And we're going to work through some energy around that stressful thought. So bring one hand right to the soft spot there at the collarbone, and the other hand, place the fingertips on the side of the temple. And breathing in, allow yourself to hold that aggravating thought. And just breathe into that. Holding the triple warmer spots on the temple and the neurovascular at the collarbone is a way to shift that energy if you're feeling aggravated or stressed about something. And then let's change hands. So we're going to bring the opposite hand to the collarbone and the other side and hold that triple warmer. It's always good to do 3 breaths. So thinking of that stressful thought that you had just a minute ago, does it feel any different? Okay. The next exercise is it's called the triple warmer smoothie. And this is another way to work with triple warmer and bringing our energy down. So we're going to bring our hands to our temples. And we're going to breathe in up over the ears and breathe out, come down and around the shoulders. Breathe in and cross over the arms. Breathe out and pull that energy down and off the hands and just kind of flick it down. This is another very quick way to calm the body. For moving energy, Martha, I'm going to ask you, as far as a time check, we're at 11:15 right now. Okay, all right, good. So we're going to move into a place now of working with some suggestions on how to help pain in the body. So again, all about moving. I would say if there was any pain that you had in your body as you were coming in today, pay attention to that. Was there any awareness, tension that you had? How's that feeling now? Is there any, do you have a little relief in that? I know for me, I was feeling something kind of up in the shoulder. This is my favorite place to hold discomfort. and it definitely is feeling better, even though I'm still standing up in front of a bunch of people. So thank you for this journey. So the belt flow is one of the radiant circuits. There are 9 primary energy systems in the body, and the radiant circuits is one of those 9 primary energies, and it is also called strange flow in traditional Chinese medicine. So in acupuncture, there are defined energy pathways, and there are points that we can stick needles into. I don't use needles, but they do. But there are points that we can specifically work with. Then there are these strange flows, which are pathways of energy that move around. They connect and bring energy from one place to another, almost like if you think about jumper cables for a car. You know, if you've got your car, a battery that's not working, you needed something to connect so that you can get that battery coming back up. And so the radiant circuits are a way the energy can move, and we can use the radiant circuits to get flow again. And one of the ones that I really like just adding to the daily energy routine as I do it is the belt flow. It's literally coming around the belt, and it connects the energy from the top to the bottom, and it helps the flow of energy going up and down through our bodies. So with the belt flow, I can have you stand up for this one. You didn't know you were going to be up and down today, but thank you. So we're going to come around the back of the body, right to the spine. This is our Mingmen point is right behind the belly button. It's a very powerful center of energy in the body. We're going to come around from there, just pull across your midline, and then push the energy down and off the pinky toe. If, as we're doing it in full motion, it looks like that. And I generally do it twice on each side. As I work in massage, when I have clients on the table, I always include a belt flow on their front and their back. Again, because it just makes the massage just a little bit more energy supportive. And then there's another exercise. Have you ever had like pain in your gut or in your belly, and there's not a real reason for it? Like it's just happening. Sometimes, especially if you have it in the lower right side, you might be feeling like, oh no, it's my appendix. And so, but your appendix is fine. But I keep having this pain right here. But your appendix is fine. That's not my diagnosis. It's just what people have been told. So this, on the right-hand side of the body, is the ileocecal valve. It is a valve that opens and shuts rhythmically to move material from the small intestine to the large intestine. And the energy of that can get fritzy. It can get disorganized. And when that happens, that valve will stick, or it almost, I like to think it maybe has a cramp, where it doesn't want to open. And so it causes pressure because we don't have the flow. And then on the right-hand side of the body the left side of the abdomen is the Houston's valve. It's not really valve, but it's more of a series of folds in the lower large intestine that keep us from feeling like we have a sense of urgency to use the restroom all the time. But with each of these, energy can get congested here, which then causes a whole backup and problems with the peristalsis of the large intestine. So what we're going to do is put your hands right on your hip bones, and you're going to bring your pinkies down. Can you see me okay? Yeah. So that you're just resting just inside the pubic bone, just above the pubic bone. Put your hands like this, where you've got all your fingers together, and you're going to do little swirls and come up to the waistline. And when you get to the waistline, let it out. We're going to do it again. Little swirls up to the waistline. And one more. And then stop at the top, and we're going to just use our thumbs and go slowly down, and close it. So we're opening up that energy and then just brushing it down. We can affect our energy in so many ways. Tapping, massaging, pinching. This is ways to get our energy moving. So if we're having discomfort in our bellies and our gut, and especially if you're having some discomfort in that lower right-hand side, you might consider it's the ileocecal valve, and just do a little bit of a flush with that to move that energy. The diaphragm breath is another way to help with the flow of energy in the body and help to make sure that our cells are very well oxygenated. On my YouTube channel, I have a person who made a snarky comment about me teaching people how to breathe. And I actually have left that dialogue, that interchange with that person on the video, because I thought it was so valuable that if people are thinking this, that we already know how to breathe. Why are we doing this? It's breathe and breathe better, to breathe more effectively, and to have the empowerment of altering how we're breathing with intention to support the health of our bodies. So the diaphragm is a muscle that helps us breathe. It's also connected to the way that we have sensations in our low back and also up into our neck. There's a lot of connection there. So when we're having tension, we can use the diaphragm breath and organizing our breath to help with pain. So take your left hand and put it over your stomach. Take your right hand and put it on top of the left. What we're going to do in a moment is we're going to breathe in, and as we breathe in, we're going to hold our breath and we're going to squeeze pressure into the diaphragm as we're holding our breath. Okay, so breathing in, hold the breath, pressing out with the diaphragm and in with your hands, like squeezing a sponge, and then releasing. And if you feel a little dizzy or something, go ahead and sit down. And we'll do that one more time, breathing in, pressing in, holding, and breathing out. How does that feel? It takes a little getting used to, but it also feels really good. So if you're feeling like you're feeling sleepy or you've got some pain in your back or your neck, the diaphragm breath would be something that you could try to see if that might wiggle the energy, get it unstuck, so that you have better flow with that. Okay, so now you're all welcome to sit down. When we think about having tension in our heads or tension in our jaw, a tool that we have available to us is pulling on our ears. So just reaching up and gently pulling out on the ears. And if you laugh, that's bonus points. And just reaching around, massaging. One of the things also to keep in mind is we have a lot of reflex points in our ears. Our body is represented in our ears. I have one point on my ear that when I touch it and squeeze it, I actually feel a little pain in my back. Like I'll get a little twinge in my back from that. But this is a great way to help with, if you've got headache, pain, or you're feeling a little mentally congested, just pulling on the ears helps to enliven you. Also with neck pain, how many people here have experienced some sort of neck pain? And how many people have chronic neck pain? My experience, from the age 18 to 23, I was in 5 car accidents. None of them were my fault. I was a passenger in a few of them, but it really wrecked my neck. And that was one of the reasons I was dealing with a lot of pain. But I wish I had known this one particular exercise, because it's really helpful for releasing the scaling muscles, which is here on the front of the neck, which often are tight when we are experiencing neck pain. So often in our world today, we're on devices, we're on computers, we're doing a lot with our heads down, so it shortens the muscles on the front of the neck. And this is a wonderful way of being able to help with opening that space. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the pads of your finger and you're going to put them just to the left side, just the to the left notch of your collarbone. We're going to breathe in and then breathe out and look to your right as you push your finger down across the top of your collarbone all the way to the side of your shoulder. And then we're going to come back and move just 1 inch over. So instead of being right at near the notch of the collarbone, you're going to go toward the middle. You're going to press here, look to the opposite side, and gently push your fingertips off the opposite shoulder. And now we're going to do another inch over, so we're closer to the shoulder than the collarbone, or the notch. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, press and push your hands off the shoulder. And now we're going to do this on the other side. Real quick before we do the other side. Does the left feel different than the right now? A little bit? Okay. So we're going to put your fingers right at the, just to the right of the notch on your collarbone, or the opposite side if you were doing the left. Push in and exhale, bringing your hand off the opposite shoulder. And then we're going to move an inch out, press in on the collarbone, and look to your opposite side and pull off the shoulder. And then one more time. So you're closest to the shoulder blade, or the shoulder now. Press in, push out, and off. How's that feeling for the neck? Kind of turn to the left and the right. Bonus on this one is moving your hands across your shoulder blade, or your shoulder like that, is also helpful for hormones and women who are experiencing hot flashes. So just yay. Yeah, I joined that club this year, so that's been fun. The vagus nerve. How many people here have heard about the vagus nerve? It's kind of a hot topic right now. What's that? Okay. The vagus nerve has been more of a conversation in the last few years because we've really begun to understand it's the longest nerve in the body. It innervates so many different things. It is affected by our stress, and that it pings around and does other things in our systems. So balancing the energy in the vagus nerve is a really good way to help the body deal with stress, which then, as a cascading point, it helps the body deal with pain. So just like we did the belt flow, we have something called a tie flow. So TIE, like the thing nobody wants to wear anymore. We're going to take our fingers and bring them right around to the back of the spine and gently pull around the front of the body and off the other side. I'm going to do that 3 times on one side. And then let's do 3 times on the other side. This is a great way to get energy moving through the spine. And one of the principles of energy medicine is energy needs to move. So when we create space, we begin to release the tension that the body's holding. Energy moves, we feel better. Another thing that we can do for the vagus nerve is hold the sides of your neck, especially just the right side, but holding the left and the right side. Have you ever seen somebody when they have been stressed hold their neck? That is what we call intuitive touch. We do things that our bodies need, even though we don't know the actual reason why. This is always so fun in a presentation because I'm finally feeling like my body is not so stressed about standing here talking to everybody. It runs. It starts at the side of, it's primarily on the right side of the neck, but it actually goes down into the stomach as well. So there's a very long pathway with that. So those are some tips for working with managing stress to help support the movement of energy and reducing pain in the body. There's so many, I mean, there's like a whole 3-hour class for just dealing with pain and all the different things that you can do. But these are just a couple that are kind of my go-to favorites when we are, and also they're very accessible. When you're feeling stressed, you can pick one of these. As we're kind of wrapping up and before we get to questions, I wanted to talk about the gates of the hands and the feet. We have energy that travels through the carpals of the hand and the tarsals of the feet, and we can help move energy by just pulling on our fingertips or pulling out between the tarsals, carpals on the hand, and then giving a little twist to each of our fingers. If you've been doing anything where you spend a lot of time on a computer, we'll do the other side too. This is great to do at least once or twice a day. If if you find that your hands are just feeling painful or movement, getting that energy moving in the hands. And you can do the same thing with your feet as well. Also, this point right here between the web of the thumb and the index finger, this point is, if you're pregnant, do not do this point. So I don't think there's any pregnant people in the room, but if you're watching this, don't massage this point. It could cause contractions. But it's a great point to squeeze or massage when we have headaches or upper body pain. It is a key acupoint. So I've used this a few times. And then if you have pain in the upper arm, just do, we call them butterfly kisses. They're spindle cell pinches, and just kind of grab and move. Also, as we're doing these little spindle cell pinches, we are affecting the lymphatic system of the body. And the lymph it needs to move in a healthy pattern so that we can get rid of inflammation. So a lot of times when we have pain, there's inflammation present. And so when we do these little spindle cell pinches, we are affecting the muscles, but we're also affecting the skin, which by gently moving the skin, we affect the lymphatic system and our movement when it comes to moving inflammation out of the body. I have one visual. It's a hairbrush. So this is actually not a hairbrush I use for my hair. I have it in my practice, and it is a way that we can release pain. So if you are experiencing pain in an area, just tap yourself with your hairbrush. If you've got pain in your hip, tap yourself with a hairbrush. All these little tiny bristles will help with clearing and breaking up energy that can be stuck in the area. Yeah, so it's a hairbrush. Who knew, right? There's also another way of working with pain called chakra clearing. It's not actually the chakras, but it is the same way we would work with clearing a chakra. So we're going to bring this full circle as I look at Martha. When we clear a chakra, we do a counterclockwise motion on the chakra. We can clear pain the same way. So if you ever had like knee pain and you rub it, you can take that, again, that's intuitive touch, because when we rub something, it helps, it feels better. But you can take that to another level by doing a counterclockwise circle on it. And we can get a little confused on counterclockwise, but what counterclockwise is, you're the clock. So if I'm standing here, 12 is up here, 9, 6, and 3. So if we're looking at clearing a shoulder pain, just do a counterclockwise circle around the shoulder. If you've got some hip pain, counterclockwise circle around that area. And that helps to draw energy out. Also, sometimes when we have pain, our aura is going to be broken. There might be rips or tears in our aura, which is one of the reasons we're experiencing pain, is because our energetic shield is not protecting us. So when we do a counterclockwise circle over an area of pain, it helps to knit the aura back together. So our, we're not hanging out there affected by whatever might be coming at us. So thank you all so much for participating today, for being a part of this discussion. And I'm hoping that you have had an opportunity to learn one or two things that you can take away. And then we've got time for some questions. Yes.
Just Carey is on YouTube, and there's two that I routinely share, the daily energy routine, and then there's another one. So if you want, if you want that link, I can search it up and forward it to Tom, and Tom can maybe put it in a group chat on email stuff.
So this is Dan. I had a quick question about the acupuncture points on the earlobes and how everybody wears earrings. What does that stimulate?
Cringe, as my 16-year-old would say. It's interesting. There have been, since I'm not an acupuncturist, I can't speak to exactly what those points are. There are monks that have actually done certain points to help with like eyesight. So there's been some studies around using the acupoints. I do think though, when we do a lot of piercings in our ears and we don't know what we're piercing, we are going to interrupt the flow of some energies. So that's a great question. I'm not going to tell you where you can pierce your ear, but it is something that when you think about energy, anything that we do to alter our physical bodies will impact the pathways of energy that we have, that we're poking holes in. Good question.
I didn't hear you mention thyroid, but if someone has had their thyroid taken out by nuclear medicine, what challenges does that pose?
Well, you've got the health challenges because the thyroid is supportive of so many different things in the body. When we are working with, like I've got clients who don't have a thyroid, and we still have energy pathways that are here. So we can do, whether we have a thyroid that is functioning well, or if we've got some challenges with our thyroid, we can do a simple exercise, and I'm going to show it to you if you'd like, with supporting that flow of that energy. So we start with the middle, and we're just going to press up and down, just a gentle stretch through here, and then we're going to do 3 to the side, and we're moving a little bit more with from the collarbone, and we're just stretching on each side. The other thing we can do is hold the sides of the neck and just do a gentle stretch back. Of course, this is also supporting our vagus nerve when we do this one. And our turkey neck goes away. There's actually just this past week, there was a conversation I was having with some people who do have tattoos, and we were talking about the especially the prolific use of tattooing now is it's more than we've ever seen in the past, and there's different kind of inks and different colors. When we put something into our skin, we are, and this is just going to be right into the right under the dermal layer. There are people who will have a reaction to the tattoo ink that can be, that can have an allergic reaction. I don't have a lot of insight to be able to answer specifically a question about tattoos, but anytime we are doing something to alter our physical form, whether it be tattoos or piercings. It is something to consider. And I would even, in my experience, I'll do some energy testing for myself to decide if that's something that I should do or shouldn't do, if that's going to be the right thing for my body. And learning how to energy test yourself is a wonderful way for giving your body or giving your mind more access to what your body's trying to say.
If anybody online would like to ask a question, raise your electronic hand. I'll see it and we'll open it up for you.
Hi. I'm really interested in the spiral movement that you were talking about through our bodies. I've been interested in that concerning spiral energies in our physical environment too. And many places of sacred energy around the world have spiral configurations so that centrifugal movement has a specific direction. And I have something here that I want to see how it correlates with what you're saying.
Okay.
Such sites in the physical world are relating to the finer levels of reality, and they're used to elevate awareness. So the direction of spirals indicates the centrifugal movement of energy. Anti-clockwise descends, clockwise wells up from the earth. Does that correspond with what
Yes.
you're saying?
Yes. Yes. So when you think about anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, anti-clockwise, that's our British folks speaking. When we're trying to draw out or reduce, we use anti-clockwise, counterclockwise. When we're trying to infuse or increase, we use clockwise. So yes, definitely the correspondence. Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
Hi, Carey. Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. I was just struck by the movements, and you mentioned something about intuition movements. That's fascinating to me because, yes, I do have a lot of tension, stress. I relate to a lot of what you said and what you experienced so far. So when I come from work, I go into the woods. I need that grounding part that you mentioned. I also, I can't just walk. I do the movements that you showed us. And I didn't know that they were energy medicine already. So that's fascinating to me that you have a lot of these things that we know somehow that can relieve the tension. Is this, when you experienced what you experienced, is this the first time that you became aware of this, or did you already have some ideas of how to relieve some of your stress and tension?
So I did not have an exposure to energy work on this level when I was growing up. I did have my mom. She was a bit of a crunchy granola type in the sense that she was already, we did a lot of shopping at the health food store, and we learned a little bit about reflexology. So I knew a little bit about you can touch points on the feet or on the hands, and it would affect your physiology. All of these movements, learning about these movements, I did not know about specifically. Like even taking yoga. In yoga, we talk about heart opening, or we talk about how this is supporting the grounding. But I didn't know that there were these simple exercises, like rocking. Rocking, we rock our babies, we sit in rocking chairs, we love the rocking of a hammock or a boat, and it's very calming to our nervous system. I didn't realize that rocking was an intuitive touch. I think anybody who's never touched a baby probably could pick up a baby and would just start rocking them if they were fussy. And it's because it's how energy works. And when we really get in tune with our energy, Donna Eden, over the years that she was developing her program and her protocols, when we learn the things that Donna teaches, she is actually, you see the things that she's just kind of brought them all into a package that we can make use of. And with Donna, one of the things when she was starting to write, people were like, she's a practitioner and she's doing these amazing things, and people are coming to her and they're receiving these wonderful healing results. And people were asking her to write a book or do something so that this information that she had could be shared. And her husband, David Feinstein, she reached out to him and asked him if he would help her. And, I'll tell a little bit of their story in that he wasn't, he says he didn't really, he sort of thought it was, it wasn't scientific. He was a clinically trained psychologist, and he did a lot with science. And so what she was doing seemed a little, nebulous. But when he started interviewing her to help her get her story into a book, he saw the correlation between you do this exercise and these things happen every single time. That it's not like you do this and sometimes it does this and sometimes it does that. There's a path from this exercise to this energy, this exercise to this energy. And so some of those things are intuitive touch, but now they have created the language that we can, if we are not so intuitive, we are able to then, read a book or get information from another source that helps us be more aware of the things that we're doing. And we might even intuitively, we might do something where every time I hurt, I do this thing. And I haven't put it down to a, it wasn't a protocol or something that was learned. It was just every time I hurt, I like to massage right when I hurt. Well, that's because, and tapping, yeah. I'm thinking of a scene in Gone with the Wind where I think it was Miss Biddy, or Pity, what was her name? Yes, and I think she's like fluttering her chest, right? She was anxious about something and she's fluttering her chest. That's tapping the thymus. Yeah, thank you. They have just launched it. Yeah, I think this year, within the year. Eden Method app. Yes.
Eden Method app. Eden Method app. Here, you can here. Put the camera so I can show you. I was looking at YouTube for the video. Right.
We got our plug for Eden Energy Medicine in there. Eden Method. So it for years it was Eden Energy Medicine, and they've had a revamping of sorts with some amazing rebranding and work that they've done to make this even more accessible. And so now it's referred to as Eden Method.
This is Dan again. So with the Eden Method, is that something that you teach?
I don't teach it. There are schools, there are several different layers with Eden. So I teach people individually on how to use protocols and tools within Eden Method. There is a foundations program that is 4 classes a year for individuals if they just want to learn a little bit more about the basics of their energy. And then it expands into a 2-year program for people who want to use it with others and actually become certified to practice it. And then there are even more advanced year 3 and year 4 that go into real deep energy and application for individuals. Yes, so there are places to learn it. I personally don't teach specific protocols other than class for hormone balancing, pain management, and stress management. So I guess the answer is yes, I do teach a little of it.
Cool.
Carey, thank you very much. In terms of the flow of energy that Anya was talking about and that Lawrence was talking about, most of us, well, many of us in the room, not you, but some of us are old enough to remember the thalidomide baby scares of the early 1960s and late 50s. And what has not, I think, been disclosed very much is that thalidomide, as originally configured, was a perfectly safe drug. it was that several batches of it came out with the chemistry, with the configuration, a mirror image of the original pattern. Same chemistry exactly, but configured in one being clockwise, the other being counterclockwise. And the opposite of what it was originally created was what created all the birth defects and so forth.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was just the flow of the energy of the chemistry rather than the chemistry itself.
That is fascinating.
Right. So, right in line with what Lawrence and Anya were just talking about.
On the chat, someone asked that we put up your information.
Okay.
So do you have, you want to give us your website?
Sure. Yes. So the website is wellintolife.com. Wellintolife.com. Yeah. WELLINTL. So we have a few people in the audience that have actually come to our practice, which is lovely. Nice to see. And so I thought maybe your face looked familiar. It was Anya? Yes. And then, yes. So it's so funny as I see faces around. We have 13 practitioners in our practice now, and we do massage. We have energy practitioners, and we do a variety. We have some Reiki practitioners as well, so we have kind of a variety of things. One of the things that I have said since the very beginning of my work is people find the practitioner that they need when they need them, and there's plenty of work to go around. So when we look at energy work or massage or finding a balance between the two, I had a practitioner, she's a recent graduate of the 2-year program, and I was on her table when she first started working with us. And I realized for the first time why people keep coming back to my table, because I do the blend with the energy and the massage. And it's like putting a massage on steroids when you've got those energy aspects to it, because we're not just moving the physical, but an energy practitioner who also does massage has the ability to bring that additional element into the movement of the energy during the massage. We always ask for permission before we do energy work in a massage, because ethically we don't want to just do something that is that we haven't been given the permission to do. But when you add a little bit of energy work into the massage and the muscles are flowing, the energy is flowing, people walk out of there in a much different state than when they arrived.
Any more questions anywhere?
This could be just a quirk, but
Okay.
every once in a while I get a pain for an instant in a big toe on my left or my right foot.
Interesting.
And it's often associated with an idea or something that was said that really hit a bullseye, went way beyond the comprehension of the brain.
Interesting. Okay.
Do you have any input on that? It lasts for an instant, but it's very significant. Pow! Whoa.
So things like that, especially when they happen with some consistency, what I would ask is pay attention to the left or the right side. Like what is it? What's kind of the nature of the theme? Because the left side would be more yin and the right side would be more yang or yang. Also the big toe. There are 2 meridians on the big toe. The spleen meridian and the liver meridian are on your big toe. And the energies around that, spleen is that earth energy, and liver would be the wood energy. So if you're having this aha moment, what is this a nurturing kind of a aha moment? Is this an epiphany? But it could be that your body is just like, that's your ping point that says, yes, go do that. I've heard of that with people. I have a friend that when I was talking to her one time, she had this slight kind of pullback on her face, and I looked at her and I said, what's happening there? And it was funny because she said when she asks herself a question energetically, a yes or no question, like, should I do this, shouldn't I? She would, one side of her face, she would get like a subtle pull on the side of her face. That was her tell. If it was something something that she should be doing or shouldn't be doing. Was it a yes or a no?
So I'm finding this really fascinating because I guess it's just the body is being used by our intuition to signal something that's important to note. And that may help us to comprehend the message that we wouldn't have received otherwise.
Yes.
So that's cool.
I like to say that the body is always speaking to us, and we just need to learn the language. So when we're curious about like your question, you're curious about it. What is the information that we are going to gain from listening? And of course, as we know more about the systems of the body and where certain emotions live, we can even gain more information by knowing more about our body systems and our energy. Thank you.
You reminded me. You mentioned the left side of the body. What does that signify?
Our yin energy, our yin or receiving.
Okay. I've not right now, but I've had a long period where I get buzzing in my lower calf, my left calf. It's buzzing. I almost hear it. And I've tried to describe it to a doctor before, and they just looked at me like I'm crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What would you think that is?
Well, I would probably say to have a deeper understanding, we probably should have a session so that we could do some energy testing around it. But just generally what pings me as you're talking is there is a point at the top of the soleus muscle, or it's kind of between the gastroc and the soleus muscle. There's a point on the back of the calf that is a stress point. And it's possible that you're having that because there's some stress energy that's kind of stuck in that area that you could kind of work out through a session or just asking some questions and doing some energy testing to see what is that trying to say to you. I love that curiosity.
That where the intuition comes in again. I would get that at night typically,
Mm-hmm.
and I would start tapping. I'm just lying there and with my other foot keep tapping it.
Perfect.
Until it just is gone enough for me to rest again.
Is it painful when it happens?
It keeps me from sleeping. It's so strong that
Okay.
it has freaked me out many times before because I've never had something with that intensity.
Mm-hmm.
That it would be clearly energy caught somehow. And I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, and there's several different energy exercises that you could do for moving it out. Also paying attention to what time of night it's happening will give you some insight as to where you are on the acupuncture clock. Mm-hmm. And then we could look at which energies are affected in that. And then there's the fun of having the conversation around how that plays into different emotional energies and then life experiences. Because so often what we've got going on in our bodies is just something that we just kept we just brought it and stuck it in our bag and we're still carrying it around.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So we're just after 12 o'clock now, so we'll wrap it up. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to come and speak with you. I love the questions and the interaction.
Okay, folks, this, as I said in the beginning, we have been blessed through the years with wonderful speakers. Today was no exception. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Carey. Next month we've got Steve Martin, who's written a number of books on spiritual matters. I'm not sure what his latest one is, but it's going to be about that, I think. Then in September we've got Lawrence Schechter, who was talking about energy flow. He's going to be talking about his Morning Star Retreat Center. And in October we've got Joanne Kong, who is a concert pianist and also a TED speaker on vegan matters and so forth. And it's going to be mostly concert between her and I believe a world-class violinist. It's going to be in the chapel portion of the church, a small chapel instead of in this room. And then in December we've got Pete Smith, who is going to be coming to us from Adelaide, I think, Australia, and he is the inventor of quantum consciousness and so forth. So we got a wonderful lineup for the rest of the year. Lawrence, in terms of your big toe thing, Lawrence, Tom Campbell, the physicist, wrote a book called My Big Toe. Toe meaning theory of everything. So when you get these big ideas, it may just be expressed in your toe because it's a theory of everything or something, right? So. Okay, folks, another wonderful meeting. We've got a potluck lunch in the hall, and thank everybody for being here. And I didn't see anybody's name on the sign-up list. If everybody here is on that list already, then no worries. If you'd like to be on that list, then please put your name on there. We'd love to have you come back. And thanks again for another great meeting. See you next month.
Okay, I'm going to close the meeting for everyone. See you next month.